Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Our goal today is pretty simple, but honestly, it's incredibly powerful. We're going to take those dense, highly technical regulations and transform them into a clear, structured study guide. Basically, we're building your ultimate blueprint for mastering the Source Evaluation Society's Group 5 exam, the one completely dedicated to Part 75 CEMS RATA Testing standards. So if you've been sitting there staring at huge stacks of EPA methods and wondering how on earth to organize your study plan, well, you're exactly in the right place. Let's get right into it.
So, let me just ask you a very direct question. Are you truly ready for Group 5? For all the environmental professionals, CMS technicians, and source testers joining us today, you already know this isn't just some casual pop quiz, right? It's a rigorous certification. It tests your absolute depth of knowledge in sampling, measurements, and those relative accuracy determinations required under Part 75. It requires total precision, regulatory fluency, and of course, real practical field knowledge. So, we're going to break down exactly what it takes to be genuinely prepared to tackle this whole certification.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with Group 5 exam basics, move into core Part 75 requirements, cover the essential EPA test methods, look at general source testing principles, and finally, wrap up with exam day logistics.
All right, starting off with Section 1, Group 5 Exam Basics.
So, just a quick bit of background. This specific exam had its latest major update back in 2021. That means it absolutely reflects modern standards. And your main challenge? Well, it all comes down to exactly 50 multiple-choice questions. Now, 50 might not sound like a massive number, right? But believe me, every single one of those questions is specifically designed to rigorously test your field knowledge.
And here's the catch. Out of those 50 questions, you need to get 40 correct answers to pass. That is an 80% passing grade. So there is very, very little room for error or guesswork here. But once you do hit that target and pass, your certification is valid for a full 5 years. Now, you are personally responsible for keeping track of your own expiration date and arranging to retake the exam down the line. But man, for those 5 years, you carry a highly respected industry credential.
Moving right along to Section 2, Core Part 75 Requirements.
So, the crucial point is you need to know these core documents inside and out. And yeah, I know, it is a lot of reading. It includes Part 75 Appendix A, specifically Sections 3, 6, and 7, which are just absolutely critical for rated protocols. You're also going to need to be highly familiar with Sections 3 and 8 of the Emissions Monitoring Policy Manual, Performance Specification 2 from 40 CFR Part 60, and Sections 2.1.1 through 2.1.3 of the EPA Traceability Protocol. Basically, you should treat this list as your definitive go-to regulatory checklist.
Next up is Section 3, Essential EPA Test Methods. Now, the exam strictly distinguishes between different testing methods, so you've got to keep them straight. For manual methods, you absolutely must be proficient in methods 1 through 4, and that explicitly includes methods 2F, 2G, 2H, and 3B. Then, for the instrumental methods, you'll want to focus entirely on methods 3A, 6C, and 7E. Oh, and real quick, as a brief aside, if you really want to ensure you pass this exam, go ahead and send an email to qstprepacademy@gmail.com for some dedicated guidance. And hey, make sure to subscribe to this explainer channel for more structured study content too. All right, let's jump into Section 4, General Source Testing Principles. So the exam really tests these fundamental principles that bridge the gap between, theoretical EPA regulations and actual practical field implementation. You're going to face questions on things like sample transport, proportional sampling, and basic calculations, like correcting for excess air, for instance. You'll also need a really deep understanding of gas relationships. Think about how temperature, dilution, and moisture corrections actually impact your measurements, right along with test plan preparation under Part 60 and 63.
Listen, this exam tests application over mere memorization. You aren't just a human calculator here. The questions will assess if you can actually evaluate a site's accessibility in the real world, verify those emissions calculations, and prepare completely accurate compliance test reports. They even want to know if you can leverage measurement data for actual process optimization. It's really about knowing why you're testing, not just how.
And finally, we've arrived at Section 5, Exam Day Logistics. And this brilliantly illustrates the strict rules of engagement for test day. The SES exams are effectively open book when it comes to printed materials, but they are strictly closed for personal electronics. So you can bring printed test methods, your handwritten or typed notes, QA manuals, and calculation sheets with reference tabs. Awesome, right? But you absolutely, under no circumstances, can use a smartphone, tablet, personal laptop, or even your personal calculator. You've got to use the calculator provided by the proctor or the one that's built directly into the testing software for online exams.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. You've seen the blueprint now. You know the methods, the general principles, that tough 80% passing threshold, and exactly what study materials are permitted. But ultimately, getting that certification is just a milestone. The real question is this: is your knowledge deep enough, not just to pass a test, but to optimize real-world measurement data and ensure strict environmental compliance out there in the field? I challenge you to master this material, not just for the credential, but for the actual impact you have. Thanks so much for learning with me today. Keep studying hard, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.